All right, this is Neil. You know me. You're on my channel. This is Pete Mitchell. Pete Mitchell is coming to town with me. Pete is working on pre-production for our new movie called Queen of the Night.
Ooh.
It's very exciting. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Pete and I, we go way back.
Way back.
How far back?
So we decided yesterday we met when we were 14 or 15?
14.
14 years old. 13 years old.
I am 13, going on 14.
We were 8th grade years old.
Yes, 8th grade years old. Now, we haven't recorded anything recently, but we're going to put some new stuff out. You can add it to your Dirt Poor Robins playlist.
Ooh, nice.
No More Kings is the name of that band, right?
It is. It is indeed.
And so we've got a story for you today to tell us how we are connected to the Karate Kid and Cobra Kai.
So we've been watching a show called Cobra Kai that we love so much.
And we're going to tell you what we think of it after.
And it's because we are somehow connected to this mythology.
It's wonderful to be a part of the Karate Kid universe, and I bring it up in every conversation. They're like...
I kind of do too, because it's
like,
like the only thing I've done cool with my life.
So what happened is Pete and I, we got record deals around the same time with Dirt Poor Robins and No More Kings. So I was recording and writing with Pete at the same time at No More Kings.
You produced No More Kings, even though you wrote everything and you performed everying. It felt more
Co-wrote.
like a... Yeah, it felt more like... True, that's true. That's true.
I want to give you credit because
Thanks,
you did do a lot of things.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was our thing.
It was.
But here's what I love about it is when you get with Kate, you write differently. That's who you are when you're with Kate. You are equal parts able to, you know what I mean? It's not like you're a different person when you write with me.
Well, it just sounds like our friendship because we
like
have
that.
a long history of writing like these kind of upbeat, kind of goofy songs about things we're a fan of.
Yeah.
That we're safe to write about, like we weren't exposing our young, vulnerable hearts.
We didn't have any teen angst that way, though.
I thought you were going to say we didn't have hearts.
We didn't have any hearts, which is funny because I didn't think about that until you just said it right now. No More Kings music still does what we did when we were 13.
That's right.
That's
Never
amazing.
changed. We never grew
changed.
up. I don't want to grow up.
I'm a Toys R Us
So, anyway, a lot of this is getting edited out later.
kid.
Thunder?
Can you edit out my snidely whiplash laugh?
No, that's going to get zoomed in on.
Oh!
All right, so what happened is with No More Kings, we released a record around the same time Dirt Poor Robins released our first record, The Cage. And the first No More Kings record was just called...
The Cage.
No More Kings.
That would be awesome. I wish I should have called my first album The Cage.
It would have been confusing, especially Neil. You made 2 albums at the same time called The Cage.
It
Yes.
was eponymous. Is that what that means?
Nope. Eponymous?
It means self-titled.
The more you know. Boop.
So it was just No More Kings.
Okay, No More Kings, No More Kings. So it had a song on there called Sweep the Leg. So one of those things we happen to be huge fans of was The Karate Kid.
The original 1984.
The original movie, like it hit me in that perfect spot, you know.
Crane kicked me in the face. Neil and I both loved the movie Karate Kid. Growing up.
Woo!
It was like our Rocky, right? I mean, we watched Rocky
And also
later.
Rocky was our Rocky.
Rocky was also our Rocky. Rocky was also our Karate Kid.
But Karate Kid, yes.
Karate Kid.
Also Rocky.
The reason Karate Kid hit us, I think, especially is because Ralph Macchio's character was supposed to be around our age, right?
Yeah.
So we were kind of like, oh, I can imagine myself being bullied. I was bullied. I can imagine myself by Neil. I can imagine myself learning karate and beating Neil up, thankfully.
Oh.
Stealing his girlfriend. Yeah.
No. So yeah, the movie just hit me in all the right places. Like, I mean, how did you feel when you left the movie theater first time you saw Karate
Oh my
Kid?
gosh, you felt pumped up. I immediately was like, I gotta learn karate.
Yeah, I kicked everything.
Yeah, I kicked everything.
You know, just mops, whatever. Just set him up like a bad guy.
I mean, it's the ultimate underdog story for people our age,
perfect.
right? Like,
perfect. So what happened is Pete and I were writing songs, and again, like No More Kings, we write songs about things we're fans of, and so Pete found this fun angle about how to retell the Karate Kid.
because the idea was, when we watched the movie, we didn't feel like Johnny was the villain. It was just that he had a redemption arc. Johnny had a redemption arc in the story. He gave
It's
him
in the
trophy.
movie.
Yeah,
We didn't make it up.
Right. He gives him the trophy at the end. He says, "You're all right, LaRusso," because you realize he earned his respect.
He earned it.
The real villain was John Kreese, the sensei, the bad teacher. It's that whole adage, there are no bad students, there are only bad teachers. That was proof of that in that movie. So we both were like, this is going to be a fun angle. We're going to tell the Karate Kid story from the perspective of Johnny.
That's right. And
As
so
an
we did it.
apology.
We wrote it. We recorded it. Somehow, magically, it got into the hands of William Zabka, Billy, who
plays
plays
the
Johnny. And he got in contact with us and our label reached out. It's something, we talked. We don't know. We're just musicians recording music. All of a sudden,
we just heard that he heard the song and it was time to make a music video.
all of a sudden, we're in a meeting with William Zabka and we're planning out a video for Sweep the Leg. And the idea that developed was, I thought was a really fun one. And it bears a little resemblance to Cobra Kai because I think this is something, because William Zabka, who plays Johnny, was the director of the music video. So you might find the connection here. So the idea we came up with was, what if all of the cast of The Karate Kid has never gotten over The Karate Kid? They've never moved on. They still watch the movie. They're all mad at each other.
In their trailer.
Johnny, leave him alone, man. He's had enough.
I'll decide when he's had enough, man.
What is wrong?
We got the cast back together. Everybody pretty much except for Elizabeth Shue and Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita.
Pat Morita wasn't around.
And he wasn't around. So we got the whole cast back together, recreated the Hill Valley.
Oh my gosh, the
karate All Valley Karate Tournament, and ended up making an entire music video with the cast.
Right. But I think what we realized in that moment was that we were tapping into something that there was 30-something years of fans that had energy, that wanted some more about that story. They weren't done with it the same way we weren't done. And when we got everybody back together, Billy got everybody back together, and everybody's in the same place. Even Pat Johnson, the guy that plays the referee, he was the choreographer. Like, even he was like, "This is the most fun I've had since 30 years ago when we filmed this movie."
Yeah, so it's such a nostalgic trip for them. And yeah, so people were not done with the Karate Kid universe. And we realized that it kind of blew up on YouTube as soon as it came out. And
our video did, yeah.
Yeah, so we were excited about that. And again, meeting the cast, like, everybody was awesome. You know, especially Billy, who we got to know the best. Billy Zabka played the movie villain in so many 80s movies.
Yes.
And I think that he actually got treated like that sometimes, he would say, in person. Like, people would come up to him mad at him and stuff. And he was the coolest, most generous guy. He's cool and generous. It's like this weird mix you don't see very often.
Really good guy. Like, funny, smart, engaging, kind, like thoughtful, he thinks of us when he doesn't have to think of us. He's got songs in other shows, like the show Psych. He was in an episode and he got one of our songs in it. Could have used anything, but he chose us because he had a relationship with us.
So it leads us to now, like Cobra Kai, because this is something like he was talking about back then, and we would sit there and have sandwiches during breaks, and he would throw around ideas and stuff, and it was so fun to see that dream he's been just cooking in the back of his mind come to life with these other people. I think you may have noticed, if you have Netflix, that it was #1 on Netflix for a while. It was probably getting recommended all the time, and so I guess let's transition to this. Let's talk about, does it live up to that hype, and did it live up to our expectations? Because, we've been hearing about this for so long, and when it finally came out, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
I mean, again, we're big enough fans of the original movie to write a song about it. You know what I mean? So the bar was high for us. It had to be really good.
For one, you should watch it yourself and make your own decision. I think it's good in a way that's rare these days, in the way that shows are good. I think that it's surprising how much nostalgia is in it and how well the nostalgia is done. It doesn't cheese me out at all.
Right, and
it doesn't
that's the
feel
danger.
cheap.
That's the danger with nostalgia, is exactly, you pray too much on it, and then it's not going to work for anybody that doesn't remember that or remembers it differently. They managed to make it perfect. It felt not cheap. It felt like reverent, but still allowing itself. Here's the other thing that I love. Billy is this way.
Yeah.
He's reverent of the character. He's reverent of the mythology of Karate Kid, but he's willing to make fun of himself. The fact that he did our video means he's willing to make fun of that character.
Well, he makes fun of multiple characters in multiple movies.
True,
you can. I'll leave a link to the video in the description of this video.
Yeah,
you can go back and see Sweep the Leg too. So
he continues to do that in Cobra Kai.
Well, there's so many good things to say about it, because the nostalgia doesn't just stop with the fact that they flash back to the movie and that story there, but there's a typology they carry along. So, like, Ralph Macchio in the original Karate Kid is rescued by Mr. Miyagi when he's getting his butt kicked by bullies.
Yes.
Same thing kind of happens, but this time it's Johnny Lawrence's character, who was the bad guy. He rescues this other kind of nerdy kid, and the nerdy kid wants to learn karate from him. He's like, I want to be a badass like you. So we follow that arc with Johnny this time instead of Mr. Miyagi.
And Miguel idolizes Johnny the same way that Daniel-san idolized Miyagi.
A lot of names.
It's hard to remember, especially
when you know him in real life.
That's what I was just going to say. When you know them...
Ralph, comedy sometimes gets hurt by political correctness, but they have permission to be politically incorrect because Johnny is stuck in the 80s.
Yeah,
he's a
time capsule, yeah.
He's a time capsule. He didn't escape that hot jock thing from the 80s, and that was the best thing that ever happened to him until he lost that tournament, it's all been downhill since.
He's like Uncle Rico.
I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Yeah, so he's just not caught up with the times. He can't use technology. He doesn't understand what's okay to say and what's not okay to say. And it's kind of refreshing to watch him just bumble through the modern world.
Because he also doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, that's the right way to do it. I don't care.
So Ralph Macchio's character is he is trying to relive, like he's trying to become Mr. Miyagi himself. He's trying to step into those shoes,
but he's missing a lot of the points of it.
Yeah, but he hasn't integrated it the same way. As he's trying to like instill those principles into like his own dojo, he starts to fail because he gets sucked in, and these kids get distracted by revenge narratives.
Right.
And the show is so cool because like some movies end with like someone getting their revenge, and that's just not how like life works. Like there's always a consequence. Like generally things escalate when you try to get someone back, and that's what happens on the show. It's one of the plot devices that when someone does something wrong and someone always acts back in a bigger way, and things start to escalate where the bad guys start to change and the good guys start to change, and it's
and that's what Miyagi understood in the first movie, right? Like that was his whole point. Like we find out later that he had his demons that he had learned to.
Yeah, that scene where he gets drunk is so important, and he's good. Like, we find out he lost his wife, and so
and his kid too, right? Or no? Yeah, at the same time, that's how the wife died. She died in childbirth. Am I wrong about that?
You're right.
It's a big double whammy for him.
Yeah.
He lost his whole family. Like,
sad.
Mr. Miyagi.
What? Why is that?
Sad for him. I'm so sad.
So what's incredible too is like just how good a care these people, like, Johnny's character, who's played by, Billy Zabka, and Ralph Macchio, they still kind of look youngish. Like they have like a young vibe to them. They're like in their 50s, and it's totally
they
rad.
Look 30. They look there's something, I think that adds to it.
Yeah.
The fact that it feels like
they still look the same in a way.
Time has passed, but time hasn't passed. Yeah.
You could recognize him on the street if you saw him. You hadn't seen him since.
Totally.
Then.
Especially, when he puts on his thing, you're like, oh my God, that's Johnny. I think that goes so far for me. When something has genuine charm and is like genuine. Again, when the thing is, you could tell that its heart is genuine.
It's good. Watch it. Make your own decisions about it.
You should watch it.
You should watch it. If we're here to say anything today, watch it. Watch Cobra Kai.
Do yourself a favor.
On Netflix.
Watch Sweep the Leg.
Oh, yeah.
And then watch Cobra Kai. What is it? It's not going to be up there. Watch Cobra Kai. Can you animate it flying around?
Try to
catch that link.
It's been a fun experience to be on this side of it, to be like, in a small way, a part of that universe, and be rooting for these people, and then seeing this revivification of the... Is that the right...
I don't know what that is. It sounds really fun to say.
Revivification. I don't know what that means. It's a real word. Revivify. Revive.
The revivalize alert.
There was like a train. It was on rails. Then there was no rails, and now we're here. We've got a documentary on the making of the Sweep the Leg video.
Yeah,
that's on YouTube too. Also linked now in the description.
One of my favorite parts is when Ralph Macchio walks through the exact sequence where he throws his bike in the dumpster and
walks us back through it.
Oh my gosh. So, he remembers all his moments and his movements from 30 years ago. It's goosebumps because you are teleported to that movie again. I love that.
I love it. Well, I think that's pretty much it. But keep on the lookout. New music coming out from us. New music coming out from us.
Ooh.
Okay? And why don't you go find a No More Kings song you like right now? Oh, is there a link in the description to No More Kings? Oh! There's you could find it.
That's a wrap. We're all done.
No, that's a wrap.
Johnny.